Hi Temple people, this is Adam here to show you how to make a simplified Litha incense. So because we are not going to be able to be together on the actual day of Litha, we'll all be doing our own personal rituals probably because we are all separate because of COVID-19. So I made a simplified recipe for Litha. Usually my one that I sell in the temple store is like 30 things long. It has so much in it that it's really complex for most people to make. And there are some things in there that you might not have in your magical store. Like hawthorn leaves, or elecampane root, or some of the other interesting things that you might throw in there that you're not going to have. So I simplified it to some things that I thought you might have on hand. If you have to substitute, do that. That's what witchcraft's all about, right? Is finding our own way and finding how to make things work. So the first thing that I've thrown into my incense is frankincense. Frankincense is a bright, uplifting smell. I associate it so much with the sun that I don't put it into, like lunar things and things like that. I have to, put it into solar incenses. And since Litha, Midsummer is a time of the fullest power of the sun. The Sun Lord is like, pow, ready to do stuff. So I wanted to put in frankincense. Now, just a note, you don't have to have a giant batch like I'm making. You can make it really tiny and small. So as a sort of tester, before I got into this, I did a 1/4 of a teaspoon of each of them. And that was my part. So I put all of the parts in here. I've made just a little bit so that I could try it out. Now you at home can make it in a really small batch if you don't have that much on hand. So go ahead. All right, I'm making a bigger batch because I'm going to, after this, probably package it up and sell it on our online store. If you want to buy mine and you don't want to make your own, that's cool too. Okay? So I put in my part for today is 2 tablespoons. So I've put in 4 tablespoons because I'm putting in 2 parts. I know, math. It's the science in witchcraft. So my next part is rosemary. I love rosemary. It's such a good additive to food. It's solar aligned, but it also has a very fairy connection to it for me. So because Litha, this is why I always call it Midsummer, I get confused. So Midsummer is that time where the fairy energies are up and about, and you can step through time and do fun stuff like that. I thought it would be good to throw in something that is fairy oriented, at least to me. So I put in rosemary. You want to grind it up a little bit. You don't want big leaves of rosemary in there hanging out. Now, when I grind these things down, I don't fully grind them, as you can sort of see, hopefully. I like to have big chunks in mine so that there's like a burst of smell when you are burning it. So, okay, I've got that good and ground in. All right, so I did my 2 parts of rosemary. Next one I'm going to do is called orange peel. Orange peel, I mean, how could you not see the sun in an orange, right? So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of orange peel. Now that's my part. I'm reminding you. So if you are making this in a small batch, your part might be 1/8 of a teaspoon. All right. Now, orange peel, is kind of, or at least mine, is kind of chunky. So you want to grind it down a little bit. And since I'm not actually putting a wood into this incense, you might want to grind it down a little bit more than you might normally, so that it incorporates with all the rest. The woods help with the burning process, especially when you're adding a lot of, I got words, a lot of resins. Okay, so I associate the orange with the sun, with that uplifting, bright energy. And our next one is Yarrow. So I associate Midsummer with Yarrow because that's about the time that Yarrow blooms. It is one of the herbs that is good to harvest closer to the Midsummer, all right? It's in full bloom. It's time to take it in, all right? So we'll put in our Yarrow. Yarrow, as it goes for a smell, it smells planty. It's not very uplifting. It's not any of that, but it does have associations with fairy, and the sun, and of course Midsummer. Alright, let's grind that in there. Now, with this, I usually would grind each one and then combine them together in a bowl. But since I'm using such a big mortar and pestle, I don't have to. When you grind them all together, it does mix their flavors together, or their scents. So it's kind of nice, if you have one that's big enough. Now, my last herb that I'm adding to this is lavender. It's one of my favorites. I know, not everyone loves it, but it's so calming and peaceful, and lavender also blooms in the summer and is it's a beautiful scent and it's so strengthening and protective, and I associate with fairy, so I use lavender. This is lavender that I harvested from our lavender in the temple. So, and I'm going to put in my 2 tablespoons. Oh, I love lavender so much. So good. All right. We're going to grind that together. Oh, I got a bunch of flowers in there. All right. Okay, perfect. Now I need to get myself a bowl. That should about do it. So when you're picking out your bowl, you want to have something that you can cover as well when you're making this type of incense. So we're making the loose incense. Now, you could burn it just as is right now, just like I did with this. All right? You could burn it right now and everything would be fine. I like it to mull a little bit more because the flavors are going to mix and the scents are going to mix, so that you really get that aroma really well if you're using a binding agent. Alright, so let me pour this in here. And it looks like I'm going to have to clean up after. Okay, so I've got my incense in there. Now, as a binding agent, my favorite, especially when it's like Litha time, is to use some white wine. I use white wine with solar things, partially because of its association, not because of any sort of mystical nonsense that I learned in a book. It's more that I like white wine at night at the summertime. So, and then my other one is honey. And you should go to your local apiary and get yourself some honey. Don't just go to the store, find some honey. If you have a friend who does it, have them send it to you. There are plenty of people who raise bees, and I want to encourage the raising of bees, and I hope that you do too. All right, so I want almost equal parts with honey and wine. I threw a little too much wine in there, but you know, there's never not too much. All right, so I threw that in there. And I like to mix them together. Now, sometimes in some formulas, I will actually add hot water to this, but this one, not so much. Now, I just mix the honey and the wine until it's incorporated. And then what you're going to want to do, and I didn't bring down my usual stirrers for this, is to sort of mix it in with your dry ingredients a little bit at a time. Okay. Because you don't want it to be too wet. Oh, look, and there's the transformation. Look how that's clumping right up. It's beautiful. Oh my god, it smells amazing. Bet you guys are wishing for smell-o-vision right now. It's so good. And actually, that's that didn't take too much. I could make it a little wetter, but I don't want to make it too wet. The wetness of the incense allows it to combine its scents and combine its energies and binds it together. And if you've seen my incense at the temple store, there's like little chunks and all of the like herb matter is stuck together. That's kind of what you want in the end, because those little chunks, once they hit the charcoal, are going to give that beautiful scented smoke. All right, now, as our last part, I usually add some essential oils to really kick up the smells. You can do this to smell. So like add a drop, sniff, add a drop, sniff, stir and sniff, until you get it to where you want it to be. Now, I usually have some sort of guideline for myself of how much I want to put in. For this, I put in 12 drops of frankincense. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I'm using a diluted frankincense because of its expensiveness now, but you can add frankincense oil to it. I added 12. You can also add sweet orange. Basically anything that we put in that has an essential oil, you can add to its smell by adding a little bit of the essential oil. So I added, well, 7 because I missed, but I was going to do 6. 6 is a number of the sun, Tippereth, and 12 is also a year of energy. So I'm adding both the magic of numbers plus the magic of verbs, so mixing it all together. So once you've got it all mixed together, it can take about 2 weeks to dry and to mull. And I like to cover it partially. So I don't fully cover the incense because I do want it to dry. But I do cover it so that it doesn't dry so quickly that it just crumbles and falls apart. Okay? So that's how I make this incense, and it's looking pretty good. It should be around the consistency of Play-Doh, almost. Really grainy Play-Doh, and I just put my hand in it, and it stuck to my hand. But that's how you make it. You wait for 2 weeks, and it is done, basically. You can jar it up in a dry, safe jar. You should keep it out of the sun because that will bleach any of the herbs so that they don't have the colors and scents and things like that, and they get warm, and it's a whole mess. So you want to put it in a place where it's going to keep cool, but it's also going to dry. I usually put this in a room where the sunlight doesn't reach that part of the room. So I hope you enjoyed making incense with me. It should be done in 2 weeks, so plenty of time for Litha. And this blend is super simplified. It's not 20 things, it's not 2 things, and I hope you enjoy it. So, and if you're not an incense maker or have any of this stuff, I'll sell this stuff. You can have it. I don't care. Because I'm not going to use that much of it. So I will sell it with you for the temple store as a fundraiser. So I hope that you are all safe and well, and I will see you next time. Bye. P.S. You might want to stir it every other day until the 2 weeks is up. Have a nice time. So it's been only 1 week, and mine has already gotten to this stage. I can stir it pretty easily now without it sticking to my little tongue depressor. And as you can see, it is, if I can grab a piece, it's like this little, it's like these little clumps like that. And it's dry enough so that it's not sticky anymore with the honey or the wine. So it's pretty much perfect right now without having to go 2 weeks. I'm going to be packaging it up and selling it in the temple store. So see you next time. Bye.